safety, security, recoverability.
Recovery.
Recoverability is also called survivability. Recoverability. It's also some books survivability. And then exception handling. The seventh dimension, repairability. Repairability. That was missing in the last lecture. Ability to repair itself when there is error or it is under attack. The software under attack or there is error. Like Windows, we can repair if there is some error or some virus is there, some files are corrupted. So we have a function and we can repair Windows. Same software should be able to repair if there is error. Yeah.
Isn't that the same as recoverability?
No, this is the software should function while under attack as it was performing before attack. User should not feel that server or software is under attack. Like I gave you example of Amazon or banks. It's not the problem of customers that server is under attack. It should be available to the user with the same functionality, with the same performance as it was before attack. Here, ability to repair. If there is some files are corrupted or some virus is there, it can repair itself. Recoverability or survivability, it can survive. It can function as it was before the attack. So functionality of the server, performance of the server should not be affected. Performance of the server should not be affected while it is under attack. So user should not feel that server is under attack, it is slow, it is taking time to load, or page cannot be displayed, services not available. Such kind of messages should not come to the user. Otherwise, over the web or over the internet or the mobile, you have so many options. You can go to eBay or AliExpress or any other e-commerce website. So Amazon will lose the business. Amazon or banks, if you want to do some online transaction and server is busy, you cannot perform. So what you will do? You will open account in some other bank. That your server is always has some problem, or you go to the ATM and your bank server is not working and you cannot withdraw money. Is it your problem? As a user, as a customer, it's not your problem as an account holder. So what you will do? You will open account in some other bank. Then every time when I go, your server is not working. That's the recoverability or survivability. It can survive. And it should perform with the same functionality, with the same performance efficiency as it was before the attack. Here we are talking about repair. Repairability. It can repair itself. Like Windows, you can repair.
Like he repair himself when the error occurs.
Yes. So software should have the function that it can repair. That's done about the quality attributes.
Doctor, just the last question. How can the software repair itself?
It has the function. Like Windows, It can give you a function to repair. Same functionality you have provided in the software, within software, that when there is an error or virus, it repairs itself. Same like Windows operating system. And same Linux, Unix, they have the ability to repair. How many categories we have? We have general purpose and we have customized. General purpose software or customized software. Difference? It is developed according to generic requirements of customers. It's not for explicitly for some specific khas customer. Like Google, Hotmail, Yahoo, Gmail, they are not for one company or one specific customer. They are developed according to generic requirements. Whereas customized as per the requirements of specific customer liking of the university. Like Amazon, it is developed for Amazon. Bank like Samba, it is developed for Samba. Or a bank like Ahli or Arab National Bank or any other bank. Or King Saud University, King Fahd University, Jeddah University. It is developed according to the requirements of specific customer. Like Gmail can be customized. We are using customized Gmail. Same my previous university, they were using customized Gmail. So that is the customized and general purpose. Then you have types of software. So general purpose, customized. We have system and we have application. What is the difference between system and application? System software is developed to provide services to other software. System software is developed to provide services to other software. For example, masalan, operating system, all operating system, not Windows only, Linux, Unix, Mac, and Solaris. So you can install other software on the top of Windows and you can use it like Office, like PHP, Java, .NET. Any other example other than operating system? Server software. So you can have client server applications. Server is providing services to client machines. So what is the difference between operating system and the server?
Server can serve multiple systems, but the operating system just for you.
Operating system manages input and output resources of the computer. So OS is used to management of I/O resources, input output resources of the computer, and provide interface to the users. So there are two functions of operating system. There are two functionality of operating system. One, input output resource management, and secondly, provides interface to the users. Whereas server management of network resources, and provide services to the clients. Network resource management and provide services to the clients. So there is clear difference between operating system and server, and both are examples of system software. Another example, application store is an example. Any other example?
Does the IDE considered as examples? IDE,
IDE?
yeah, like NetBeans or
You mean frameworks?
maybe.
Editors editors are example of system software. You can use framework as an editor. What is the job of editor? Job of editor. What is the function of editor? Editor software. Do you have any function of editor?
To edit.
To write, edit and modify the code. Write, edit and modify the code. Like Notepad, WordPad. You can write code in HTML, Java, PHP, .NET, in any programming language, and save with the extension .html, .java, .php, .asp, .visual basic or whatever. You gave the extension, all files. Any other example of editor system software? Compiler, interpreter, assembler. What is the difference between compiler and interpreter? Compiler and interpreter. So we run interpreter or compiler to translate high-level language code into machine code. That is the job of compiler or interpreter. Compiler translates the high-level language code into machine code in one shot, in one process, in one go. Interpreter translates it line by line. Line by line. Secondly, compiler produced object code. How many types of code we have? We have source code. We have source code. That you write the code, it's a source code. You have object code. And we have intermediate code. So there are three types of code we have. Object code, the normal programming languages like C, C++, they translate directly from source code to object code. Object code is also called another name, machine code. So machine can understand. Object code is also called machine code. Java is different in its compilation than other languages. What is the compilation process of Java? You have studied to CPCS 202, 203, 204, then you are here. Yes. What is the compilation process of Java? When you translate, when you compile Java code, it does not translate into machine code directly or object code directly. It is translates into an intermediate code and it's called byte code. In Java, it is called byte code. It is not high level, it is not machine. Now every operating system has JVM. What is JVM? Java Virtual Machine. Every operating system has JVM. When this intermediate code, byte code, reaches to JVM, approaches to JVM, then it is translates from intermediate code into object code, machine code of that operating system. And that's the reason Java is portable. It is platform independent. It can run on any operating system, on any platform. And then Microsoft copied the same in .NET. Now .NET also has the same compilation process. It is translates into an intermediate code. Anybody knows the name of intermediate code in .NET? It is called MSIL. Microsoft Intermediate Language. Microsoft calls it Microsoft Intermediate Language, MSIL. But it has the same now, but still .NET is not as smooth as Java. It still have problem. The best compatibility is with Windows. For Linux, Unix, you need to install patches, some other software to run it. But still functionality is not the same as it is runs over the Windows. Best compatibility of Microsoft .NET is C#, VB.NET, ASP.NET, F# over Windows. So compiler produced object code, whereas interpreter, if you want to run again, you have to interpret again. But in compiler you have object code, executable code. It is also called executable code. Object code, machine code or executable code. You can click on object code without compiling again, it will run. But for interpreter, no. So compiler is much faster because in one shot than the interpreter, and interpreter is used for debugging. Because it goes line by line. So it's mostly used for debug the software. That's the difference between compiler and interpreter. Driver, R driver, like you install some software, hardware, there are drivers. So they are also examples of system software. These are the common examples of system software. Now we go back, application software. How to define application software? System software is developed to provide services to other software. What about application software?
Software that developed to serve customers.
Yes. Application software is developed to provide services to end users. Application software is developed to provide services to end users. An example of application software? And how many types of application software we have? We have 7 types of application software. Real-time software. Which software will be called real-time software?
Software that depends on time.
Real-time software response is between 1 millisecond to 1 second. So all those software whose response time is between 1 millisecond to 1 second are called real-time software. For example, now you can give example. Skype response is between 1 milli to 1, then it will be real-time. Any other chatting softwares or gaming software. Gaming software, the response is Google. Response is between 1 milli to 1 second. So all those software whose response is between 1 milli to 1 second, 10 raised power minus 3 to 1 are called real time. Business software, which is developed according to business requirements of companies, customers, like orders, like banks applications, internet banking, mobile banking, Amazon, eBay, e-commerce applications, Carrefour, Panda, Danube. They are business software. Engineering and scientific software. The software which is used in engineering and scientific applications, for example, MATLAB, simulations like Cisco Packet Tracer, we have OpNet, we have OMNet for network simulations, we have Cisco Packet Tracer, Rational Rose, Star UML to generate design from code and from code to design, reverse engineering and forward engineering. Microsoft Visio, eRwin. These all software are examples of engineering and scientific software. AutoCAD, yes, I forgot AutoCAD. For architectural purposes, we use AutoCAD, very popular. Embedded software. Which software will be called embedded software? Which is integrated into hardware. Embedded software are engraved, integrated inside the hardware. For example, car dashboard displaying your mobile application. In computer we have ROM, engraved, integrated. You don't install software on ROM. It is already there. So all such software which is integrated into hardware are embedded software. Rockets, guided missiles, which automatically hit the target. And even if target change its position, these rockets, these missiles will chase until you hit with anti-missile, stop them. Otherwise, they will hit the object. Whatever the object target you set, they are designed to hit the target.
Doctor, does the USB like Wi-Fi
All
adapter?
such software which are integrated inside, they are not like hard disk. You are talking about USB like a external drive.
I mean like the USB Wi-Fi adapter that you put.
Yeah, that's correct. Any such software which is integrated and engraved already. Personal computer, when personal computers were introduced, Office, it is for personal computer usage. Office, it is for personal usage. AI software, how to define artificial intelligence and what is the difference between natural intelligence and artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, we develop software to behave like humans. So standard is natural intelligence. For example, robotics. For example, decision support systems, expert systems, which behaves like humans. CAD, computer-aided design, computer-aided manufacturing, 3D printing, which behaves like humans. Artificial intelligence, gaming software, like supercomputer is playing chess game. We use machines for automation or ERP system, which automatically take decisions like humans to automate like manufacturing industry. Robotics are doing the manufacturing. That are examples of, they all are examples of AI software. AI, a software that behaves like humans. So natural intelligence is the standard for AI. Machine learning, like Google is learning. For specific user, as he likes, you type something, it tries to complete it. It learns from you. Robotics are learning continuously. And I discussed supervised learning and unsupervised learning. Network-based software that executes over the network. We designed them to execute over the network, over the web. So web applications, network applications are examples of network-based software. They execute over network. They are designed to run over internet, over the web.
Doctor,
Yes.
the last, why they put engineering and scientific in one?
Yeah. Objective is to help such applications because scientific engineering is one of the science. So they call it as engineering, like CAD. For example, AutoCAD. It is specialized engineering application. But for example, Microsoft Visio, Rational Rose, Star UML, we consider them like scientific applications. MATLAB for simulations Cisco Packet Tracer, OpNet, OmNet. So they categorize it like such. So they consider it as one, domain one area. We have categories of methodologies. How many categories of methodologies we have? Or process models. We have structured and we have object-oriented. Structured and object-oriented. We divide this category based on tools. If we have structured tool, then we use structured methodology. If we have object-oriented tool, we'll use object-oriented methodology. So methodology is selected based on the tool you are going to implement for coding. It doesn't make sense that you are using Java or .NET and you are using structured methodology. Or vice versa, you are going to use C language and you are using object-oriented methodology. Object-oriented methodology. So what you will do with the use case diagram, class diagram, sequence diagram in the C programming language, COBOL, Pascal, Fortran. So we select the methodology based on that tool. Structured for structured tools, object-oriented for object-oriented tools. So waterfall, prototype, RAD, evolutionary, these all are examples of structured methodologies. Waterfall methodology was proposed in 1970 and this is the original methodology. Project identification and selection, project initiation and planning, analysis, logical design, physical design, implementation, maintenance. What are the pros and cons of waterfall? Advantages and disadvantages. Any advantage of waterfall? So no advantage. Do we use waterfall up to now or it's obsolete? No more use. Yes, it is still used. NASA used waterfall methodology to send robots on Mars, Marikh. And then another advantage, it is the most comprehensive methodology. Most comprehensive, best suitable for research projects. Best suitable for research projects. Because in research, you don't have problem of time and cost. You have enough time. Because you're doing testing, experimenting. As you can see, each phase is going back to the previous phase. Each phase is going back to previous phase. You reach here, you go back to check you have done the first phase correct, verification. So verification, 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 verification. Even you reach maintenance, you go back to verify again. And what is verification? To make sure that whatever the product or the document or software is developed correctly, it is working correctly, and validation, testing, to make sure it is working according to customer requirements. So here verification, 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 verification.
So what is the second thing?
Validation. We have verification testing and validation testing.
Validation?
Validation and verification. Here verification, 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 verification. So that means it is best suitable for research and it is also best suitable for safety critical projects. What is safety critical project?
To protect humans.
Safety critical project where human life risks are involved. Human life risks are involved. You are collecting all requirements at one shot, in one shot, and you freeze them. No change. You collect all requirements in one shot, in one process, comprehensive requirements. After that, freeze them, no change. Because it's a matter of human life. Like flight control software, 300 to 500 passengers' lives are on stake. Nuclear reactor control software, space shuttle software. So you cannot afford risk to change the requirements, change the architecture, because you have requirements, then you design the architecture. If you make change in requirement, mean you have to change the architecture. And change architecture mean change the code. And there will be bugs. And it can have accident for the human lives. So best suitable for research projects, best suitable for safety critical projects, best suitable to understand SDLC, comprehensive. All phases are very clear. That what you do at the project identification, selection, initiation, planning, analysis, logical design, physical design, maintenance, implementation, maintenance. Now comes the disadvantages.
Disadvantages when you are in the next phase, you can't go back to the first. I mean,
This is advantage. We are going back to the previous phase. You can see back arrow. This I just discussed verification.
I mean, if you are in the analysis phase,
You can go back, no problem. Can you see back arrow?
even in the first one.
Yes. Yet when you can go back here, that means you can go back the first one. Yeah, it is not suitable for commercial projects because time consuming, cost consuming. And we don't have time in software industry, software company. Customer will not give you free time. Okay, no problem, take 5 years, 10 years. He needs software now fast, rapid. So not suitable for commercial project because time consuming, cost consuming, too much verification. In commercial projects, it is not possible to collect all requirements in one shot. As customer will use, as customer will give you the new requirements. And here you are asking no change. Give me one requirements in one shot, after that no change. It is contradictory to industry, commercial software. By nature, it is against. The nature of commercial projects is you have to change the requirements. Why? Why requirements are changing in commercial projects? Because business needs are changing. Your competitor change something, you have to change. Sometimes you increase the business, sometimes you downsize the business. Increase, downsize, internal changes, and sometimes you feel some new function needed, some new report you needed. So there is a continuous change. There is nothing permanent except change. There is a saying, 5000 BC. There is nothing permanent except change. It is always there. So how come you are asking the customer, don't change the requirement, no change? It's not possible for the commercial projects. Any other problem? You can see the implementation working version in the second last phase. If you have misunderstood the requirements, because customer will tell you stories. Arabian Nights, Alif Laila, Alibaba. And from those stories, you have to extract the requirements. And if you misunderstood the requirement, that means at the second last phase, customer say, no, this is not what my requirement. You understand wrong. You understood it wrong. That means from here you go back to planning. That means project failed. It's not possible that from here you will go back to there. So much extra time, extra cost, customer will not give you. He will cancel the project. He will cancel the project. Now, because of problems of waterfall, prototype model was introduced. Prototype is demo. And it has 3 phases. Listen to the customer, develop a demo, evaluate, ask the customer to evaluate, again when customer is evaluating, you are listening. Rebuild the demo. Again ask the customer to evaluate. This process continues till customer approves. Yes, this is what I need. And then for next release. So prototype also has some advantages and disadvantages. It cannot be used as standalone methodology. Why not? Why we use waterfall and other methodologies if such a good methodology is there? Why not?
Because they use evaluation.
Because the customer must be included.
That is good. It's not bad to include the customer. Because who will release the money, Falus?
Customer.
So the main stakeholder, you don't want him to be involved? Like I asked you, don't sit students in the lecture. I will teach to them. Students are the main stakeholder for what I am here to teach them. You are developing software for home, for customer. So it's good to involve the customer. Like to interact with student is good or bad? It's good. If I say don't speak, zip your mouth. At the end of the lecture, any question? So what do you remember 1 hour before, 1 hour 15 minutes before what we discussed? So no discussion, thank you very much. So student will not understand what's going on. It's good to have their questions as per the topic we are discussing parallel to that. So it should be clear. Any confusion should be clear, fixed immediately. Like any bug, as it appears, fix it. Don't prolong it. No documentation. There is no documentation. How you will maintain the software? How you update it? How you upgrade it? No architecture, no design. Only in Hava, listening. And top management or the investor doesn't have time to attend so many prototypes. He will send to home low-level people, operational people, clerical people go for prototypes. If he has threat that if this software will be implemented, maybe company doesn't need so many employees, they will fire me, Clujan Haya. So he doesn't want to implement this software to be successful. He wants to fail this software. So he will be trying to misguide you, give you wrong requirement, and at the end what you have, the software in front of top management, he say, no, I did not say this, he understood wrong. Do you have any evidence? You are just listening, no documentation, no proof. That means project will fail. So these are the reasons you cannot use waterfall prototype as standalone methodology. It is best to integrate with other methodologies like waterfall, RAD, spiral, agile. Integrate, not standalone, only prototype. It will help you for what? To finalize, verify the requirements, validate the requirements as per the customer needs because you involve the customer. It's advantage because you involve the customer. I just said you involve the customer. So like waterfall, if you use prototype here or here or here, it is good. Because if customer has some problem with the requirements, he can stop you. He say no. Because when he will see the prototype, he will say yes, this is required, this is not required. So not like here. You can see the working version at the end. Interfaces first time. How it is working? Because you didn't involve the customer from here to here. After analysis, no interaction. Till here. In logical design, in physical design, in architecture, customer is not involved. Because no prototype was there. But now because of prototype, so best suitable to integrate with other methodologies. Fast development. It will help you to have fast development, time saving, cost saving. it is very difficult to update, upgrade, and re-engineer. Fast development, too much, results in poor quality software if it is not properly managed. Lies heavily on end user. If end user don't want to make the software successful, he will try to misguide you due to job risk, and then project will fail because you are depending too much on end user. So end user can become source of failure. Too much maintenance. Then RAD model was introduced. All phases of waterfall are integrated 7 phases into 4 phases. So it's a smart version of waterfall. And it has verification only, modeling and construction. Not every phase is going back to the previous phase. Requirements and planning, project identification and selection, project initiation and planning and analysis, 3 phases in 1 phase. 3 phases are integrated into 1 phase. Logical design, physical design, 2 phases in 1 phase. Implementation, name is changed, construction and maintenance cut over. So 7 phases are composed, integrated into 4 phases. It's RAD, rapid application. Name, rapid application. So it is best suitable for small projects. Best suitable for small projects. Because it used prototype here. It used prototype here for small projects. Fast, time saving, cost saving. But it is not suitable for large projects. The prototype again and again, and we have throwaway prototyping and we have evolutionary. What is the difference? We have 2 types of prototyping, throwaway and evolutionary.
Throwaway prototype is when you finish, you just throw away. And,
Yes, after every evaluation of the customer, you throw it, you discard it. So for next prototype, you will develop from the scratch. And evolutionary, the first prototype you show to the customer, you keep on evolving, you keep on changing. Any other advantage? So best suitable for small projects, time saving, cost saving, more complete user requirement because prototype is there. So user is incorporated, so you can develop software with respect to user. Cover all phases of waterfall but at a rapid rate. Because prototype you want poor quality software if you try to develop too fast. Not suitable for medium to large projects. All disadvantages of prototype are incorporated.
Doctor,
Yes.
didn't you give us an example with the Corio company when you said
Yeah.
that
They are not using RAD, they are using Agile. Agile has its checks, quality checks. So Agile is totally different. You can say RAD methodology is the mother of Agile methodologies. It is the mother because idea is taken from RAD. But with quality checks, Agile practices, Agile principles are there to no compromise on quality, to improve the quality. So Agile has quality checks. So you do fast, but without sacrificing the quality. Very good question. The Agile is much faster than RAD, and it's very successful. And most widely used methodologies now. All companies are switching to what? What methodology they are using? Agile. So not suitable for safety critical projects, not suitable for research projects. Because in safety critical projects, you cannot afford to change the requirements. You cannot afford to change the requirements because human life risks are involved. Then we have spiral or evolutionary methodology. It's a customized version of actual spiral. Actual spiral is very complicated. This is very complicated. This is the actual spiral model introduced by Barry Boehm. So for student to make it understandable, I have simplified version that you communicate to the customer, do planning, risk analysis, engineering, testing, customer evaluation. What are the advantages of spiral model? It is also called evolutionary model. It is also called incremental model. Now, any advantage? It is the first methodology you start delivering the software in releases, in increments. This is the new idea. Before this, we are used to deliver software, application software as like system software, as full package, complete, and then deliver. Here, you deliver in releases, increments, release 1, release 2, release 3, increment 1, increment 2, increment 3. So you don't collect all requirements, you collect few requirements, develop, and then next release again, because there are cycles. Here, after customer evaluation, you have release. So release 1, release 2, release 3, release 4. And then for next cycle. Yes. It's iteration. Increments. Evolutionary. Evolving. This is the new idea in software industry. After that, all software industry use this style, this strategy to deliver software in releases because it suits to the commercial projects. The requirements are changing and it's best suitable in changing requirements because you are delivering in releases, so you are collecting requirement. So in the next release, if customer want to change the requirement, you can change. You can change. So it accepts change. That's what need of software industry. The needs of software industry is fulfilled. Yeah. All after this, all methodologies are proposed incremental, iterational. So it's the first time risk management is introduced in software companies. Before that, we never considered risk management. So new field is established, risk management. Now every good company has a risk manager. Risk manager is a job description to take care of the risk regarding the failure of the project. So Barry Boehm gave the idea of risk management, risk analysis, new domain, new dimension. Otherwise, we never considered that we should have risk analysis, risk management. Any other advantage of spiral model? First time we use the word engineering. After this, software engineering field is established. People don't call it software engineering. People call it software development. Because engineering, they thought electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, like civil engineering. How come software engineering? They call it software development, not engineering. But after this, we have the subject field, software engineering. And design and development, first time in parallel. In one phase, integrated, first time in the history. That means you can work in multiple teams. Another advantage, cause and effect. When you are doing design and development in parallel, that means designing team, when finish their design, coding team start working on that. When coding team is working, doing the coding, design team is designing the next release in parallel. You can have in parallel for the second release. So when the implementation, the programmers are working on second release, coding, they are designing for the third release. in parallel. So these are the advantages of spiral model. So it is best suitable for medium to large projects. Medium to large, because risk management is introduced. Disadvantage.
Fine.
Yes. So it's not suitable for small projects. It's time consuming, cost consuming, because so many phases you need to cover. Because RAD was there, rapid application methodology was suitable, there was a need for medium to large. So it is designed to meet the needs of medium to large projects. Any problem, other problem, it is not suitable for safety critical projects. Even though we have risk management, why not? That can be an exam question.
Risk for data?
Maybe requirement changes after
Because we
delivery.
are changing the requirements. And as I just mentioned few minutes before, it's the need of safety critical projects, collect all requirements in one shot and freeze them. After that, no change. In architecture, no change in requirements. So it's not suitable for tight deadlines, not suitable for small projects, not suitable for safety critical projects, AI projects. Some people say maintenance problem because medium to large projects, management problem is there because medium to large projects has problem. But I feel it's not the problem of methodology, it's the problem of the manager. If he's skilled, he can manage. And say maintenance can be a problem because you are changing. When are you are changing? Mean coding, testing, maintenance cycle started. Yes, maintenance problem is there. Management problem is not a big deal. Now I move to object-oriented methodology.
Doctor,
Yeah.
in the risk management, why they did not make it involved in the planning process?
Yeah. Because at the planning level, you don't have comprehensive requirements. You have just initial requirements. And secondly, did you win the project? Did customer sign the contract with you? So why you spend time, effort, cost? So you do at analysis level once you have the contract. You win the project. Now you can spend time, effort and cost to do the risk management. That is the reason we don't do in the spiral at the planning level, because we have not won the project. We are just submitting the project specs proposal. 3 or 4 companies like Microsoft, SAP, Oracle, STC, or any private company like NetSol Technologies System. Anybody can win. So no company wants to waste time, cost, effort, resources. Let me discuss the types first. We have types of methodology. We just discussed category structured and object-oriented. We have types of methodology, plan-driven and agile. And the plan-driven are also called traditional methodologies. Traditional methodologies. Whereas agile is also called modern methodologies. So we have traditional and modern, these are the types. So waterfall, prototype, spiral, RAD, RUP, they all are traditional or plan driven.
Doctor, didn't you say that prototype is a new thing or?
No, prototype is traditional methodology because it was proposed after the failure of waterfall to address the limitations of waterfall. Because in waterfall there was no prototype and customer can see the working version in the second last phase. To address this limitation, so customer can see at the analysis level or design level, you include the prototype. You introduce prototype. National Unified was introduced. National Unified process was the first successful object-oriented methodology. And IBM first time used it. And after the success of IBM, all software companies switched to National Unified. So you may say, before Agile, National Unified process was the most widely used methodology. It has wonderful phases. You have communication, planning, modeling, construction, deployment, and here is the release. And before that, we have inception. Inception is connected with communication and planning. Elaboration is connected with planning and modeling. Construction is connected with construction, and deployment, transition is connected with deployment. And release, halas, your job is done. You deliver to customer. Now you need Falus, halas. It's not your problem now. Because customer approves it. If these are the phases as you can see here, inception, elaboration, construction, transition, then what is this cycle? These are activities that you are implementing during the phases. So you do communication with the customer during the inception and you do planning. After that, you have modeling. So during planning, you feel you have not some requirements clear. You can go back. There is a cycle here. This is one cycle. This is second cycle. This is third cycle. So within one cycle, you have 3 sub-cycles. Because in waterfall, spiral, you cannot go back. Spiral, you cannot go back. Rad, you cannot go back except 2 phases. But here, you have 3 sub-cycles. And it's incremental. Spiral is also incremental, but you cannot go back. One of the advantage I forgot, spiral model is suitable to have complete software. Because you are continuously evolving, perfecting maintenance. You keep on updating. So it's evolving, evolutionary. So that is one of the also advantages of spiral model I forgot, to have complete software. To make it complete and complete. So, but in spiral you cannot go back for one release. Within a release you cannot go back. For the next release, yes, you can consider new requirements, you can consider a change. But here, you reach to planning, you feel something is not clear. You can go back to the customer, you can communicate with him to have correct planning. You can do correct planning. And then modeling. First time, analysis and design you are doing in parallel. Analysis and design in parallel. At analysis level, you feel your planning is not good. You can go back, change your plan because you have some new requirements that you did not consider during the plan. So you can go back, change your plan. If everything goes fine, move to the design. So elaboration is connected with planning and analysis and the analysis and design. Construction, that is the coding, testing, maintenance. Testing only up to alpha. In transition is also connected with, because you are doing beta. Because transition is alpha beta. So you have transition as the customer for beta. And there is a cycle here for alpha beta. That is the reason there is a cycle. If customer approves the beta, release the final version. After the Falus, after he paid the payment, release the payment, you release it, the final release, and then next iteration.
There is something I didn't understand when I told you about the risk management in the planning. You said because you want to make sure that the customer will pay, but you said here that he will pay after the deployment.
I did not say pay. I said customer will sign the contract with you you will do the project. Otherwise, some other company, like for example, you do risk management. You spend time, effort, cost, resources, and he signed the contract with Microsoft. What's the benefit? You spend so much time to do risk analysis and he signed contract with another company. So why you waste time, cost, effort, resources to do risk management when you don't know this project you will win or not? You will do once you know you have a contract with the customer. Then it makes sense to spend time, cost, effort, resources. Thank you very much. See you inshallah in the next lecture.